The answer is not just the police after we've already failed them, right? We have to look at a situation that under the PNM, 120,000 people lost their jobs, and this have nothing to do with COVID. The economy had crashed before COVID, right? Petrotrin was shut down before.
No way. They always
they
have
very
to go.
well understand. They just don't care, Corky. They don't care.
Who don't care?
The government.
Well, that's right. They don't care. They want it to be like that. So they always have their way.
Oh, so when you say the people who doing it, they don't understand. You mean?
Well, look,
Oh,
here
you mean
people
the
getting
young men
killed.
who-
You
right,
were saying Mr.
yes.
Gary Griffith,
Right.
I'm trying to make it different. He was everywhere
Yeah.
when COVID. I remember
But
I
even
went.
that- Yeah.
Being in the place and doing his work. They didn't want that.
What you think? And that's why when you ask, how do we solve it? Policing is just one way, Corky. But social injustice, inequality, and inability to achieve wealth, these things cause crime. Good night, you're alive with Marsha Walker.
Good night, good night, good night, good night.
Good night.
I hear you make assertion just now. There is still good PNM. Tell me what is a good PNM. Describe to me what is a good PNM.
No.
Knowing what they do, knowing what they do to this country for all the years.
Yes, yes.
Telling me there is a good PNM. You ain't ready yet to know. You still a PNM.
Oh, Lord, see. Well, oh my.
Did you say they are good PNM?
I did. I said, so because I don't, listen, you will never find any institution where everybody wicked and rotten, and you will never find any other institution where everybody perfect and angelic.
So we're saying there are some good PNM people.
I am sure.
But if you're a good person and you know something bad going on and you don't say something or don't stand up on the
So,
on
well,
the
they
thing,
maybe
well,
say, but I know, and
it comes like the police service. If somebody do something wrong and
Right.
and that is I'm a police
but
officer
so
and that is my
you
family or
assume
my
that-
friend.
Why you assume they're not fighting inside for a better, for a better party?
They're fighting but they're not coming out to say anything. If you don't stand up,
No, but
it
hold
mean-
on. No, but then people will say the same thing.
Yeah.
When I do bad talk UNC all over the place, but it doesn't mean UNC isn't perfect.
And I'm not
but
saying it
I
have
will
good
go.
people out
I
there.
will go to the
It have good
leadership.
people in it, good police officers and
Yes.
have bad police officers. But the thing about it is
But the good police officers
when you
can't
go there,
around just shouting down and bad
no,
talking.
when you
the
go
bad
as a good police officer, you have to you just end up being bad because you cannot say nothing because that's you become
No, you don't no, that's not true. You
How
don't,
no?
you don't know. We are called
you
to be
become a part of the
No,
police
you
service, so you
don't.
have to say,
No,
all right,
no,
you
no.
was to turn a blind eye for a
No,
lot of
no,
things.
no, no, no,
How
no.
no?
There is a
All right.
difference. There is a way. So it's not that you're turning a blind eye to it, Corky, right? But you're not. You remember Rowley?
Yes.
Rowley get on all over the place with Manning. That's not the way. You know, like just how we have Vassant and all of them who's get on all over the place with Kamala, that's not the way.
Yeah.
Right? If you believe that the UNC is better, as the best option, but you can see and you could look and you could say, right, every organization has challenges. So I would speak to the leadership, speak to different people and whatever inside, and I will offer to serve. So I would be part of the change that I want to see. So I'm not going to sit down and complain and complain. I will get involved and be part of the change.
Right.
There are some people who, that may be, and I mean, it may be wrong, I don't know, but they may believe that, listen, if we could get rid of Rowley, you feel people inside PNM and saying that. All you sit down and feel, there is a huge rift. So because they manage their household better and we're hearing it all over the place. But what do you think going on with Short and Farris? The Short talk didn't want the bill and whatever. That Manning faction is still there. That Manning faction is still there. And I ain't saying that they may be inefficient. So we're talking like good and evil kind of thing. I think PNM by and large inefficient. Definitely. So I think that their hearts may be good, but their economic policies and their way I can't buy into, even though I may think that, listen, this is somebody that I think has a good heart. I think, so like for instance, I think Mr. Manning was a gentleman. He was not arrogant like Rowley. He may not, he may not have done a whole heap of things right. Plenty things he did wrong. He certainly wasn't arrogant like Rowley, right? So there are people in there who I think maybe we could work with. They have some that we just can't work with and need to go.
PNM will do what they have to do to stay in power at all times.
Well, you know, I am going to, maybe I am naive, but I'm going to hope that not everybody in there, and I mean, prove me wrong, no problem.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
they are part of that. They're
Well, and maybe they will work quietly behind the scenes.
if you don't say anything,
I don't know.
yeah, part of that.
Well,
If
how
don't
you
say
know they're
nothing.
not saying anything? Listen, they have plenty people in PNM. Remember, what you're seeing is not Churchong and them, right? So there might be people, let's say, in a small party group or something who's saying stuff quietly behind the scenes and they can.
Self and
But-
maybe
well, but
if you have a friend who is PNM, they will tell you and you'll
But
have
I'm
a
not going
conversation.
to be a hypocrite. So I don't agree with calling out UNC on air. You're not going to hear me bad talk UNC. Does it mean that I don't think that UNC, of course, is not perfect? No one of us is perfect. But there's a
Right.
time and a place.
And there were people in UNC who tried to boycott and jump over on the next side because they didn't have their things
So
their
you
way.
think that they're better?
I'm not saying
Well,
anybody
right.
better than anybody.
I'm
I'm
saying
saying
that there's a better way to
it have
handle
good
it.
and bad in everyone and everything.
Well, exactly. That's what I just said.
Right, but if you don't say anything and I
But
stand
you're
up.
saying, but I am saying that there is a way to say something, that we can say it without airing our dirty laundry in public. So I'm saying that there may very well be people in the PNM who are speaking out,
But to who?
well, to their leadership quietly. They don't have to speak out in the way that our rejects speak out. That's not the way to handle it. They do not air your dirty laundry in public. That is what I am saying. You don't air your dirty laundry in public. So unless you are agreeing
Yeah.
that those who have issues with UNC, because UNC is human and we are not 100% perfect. We are not. I think
But when it comes to people losing their life and crime and thing and nobody is standing up, you're a criminal too. People getting killed every day.
well, so
And
what?
no-
So
and-
you want them to stand up and shout down the PNM?
You have to stand up for that wicked thing because
And
when
I am saying
somebody
that
run in
I
your
am-
place with a gun
I've spent way too much time
and
defending
kill
the
your
PNM. But you see, that's the whole thing. I'm trying to be fair. I always, and as I'm not a good politician, maybe because I believe in being fair. I'm saying that I'm certain, or I would like to think, that there may be a few good ones who inside of the organization might be trying to change. Now, they're not successful clearly because we still have what we have, right? And so that's why I wouldn't vote for PNM, because they obviously have not been successful in fixing it. I would love nothing better if somebody could make the PNM a little bit better, you know. You know why? Because the country deserves a good opposition. So when Kamala come into government, we wouldn't have a rotten opposition in the PNM, right? We need to have decent people on both sides. Otherwise, what you will have is who gonna hold Kamala to account when we form government? Who gonna hold UNC to account? So I would want that, you know, even if it's a few people, they would be able to come and serve and hold us to account and ask good questions. You see in more mature democracies and in good parliaments where the parties can work together or whatnot for the benefits of the country, right? Just like how the UNC supported the anti-gang bill and they supported the Bail Act. If you bring good legislation, even if we don't think it's perfect, we will give you an opportunity, right? So we give you an opportunity, we will work with you. If it's not working, then hard luck. We're not going to vote for it. You know, we're not going to support you, right? So it's the same way. You know, when UNC comes back into power, I would hope that there will be one or two good PNM people in there who will be able to act as a responsible opposition and not just oppose for opposing's sake or be obstructionists. You know, like when Rowley said, we will not support the government. We will oppose them. We will back them into a corner. That's rubbish. That's rubbish opposition, right? Because politics before people. I am saying that I'm sure.
Politics before people.
Yes, I am propaganda, all kind of thing before
people. So that's
people.
why people had to die from the COVID.
Yes, because politics before people.
And people had to die from the criminals.
Because politics before people.
Oh,
yes,
so that's how it is.
Politics before people. That is what it is.
I learn a lot here.
We have a call. Hold on. Good night. You're alive with Marsha Walker.
Hi, good night, Marsha.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Good night, I'm okay. Good night, Corky, and to everybody out here. Good night. Marsha, you know we're going to agree to disagree here this evening.
I know with this one I will have to agree to disagree with everybody.
Here, you have people sitting down, thumping a bench, banging down the bench. You understand?
Yes.
When Rowley lying in Parliament, when he wave all these pizza receipts and thing about email, when he's standing up there and lying and calling Mrs. Prasad Bissessa all kind of names, and they're sitting down there and they're thumping the desk and carrying on, right? What's you understand? None of them could, if they could remain silent as to what it is going on. You understand? You have to. I am not saying, but you see, I always say, UNC people should take a page out of their book. You see how they just sit along and hide everything. They don't bring out their dirty linen and wash it in public.
Well, and that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
I'm just saying that I'm certain. Now, remember, PNM is... would you consider yourself part of the UNC?
Beg pardon?
Would you consider yourself part of the UNC?
If I consider...
yourself part of the UNC?
Of course I am.
Well, right. So when you talk about PNM thumping in Parliament, there are very well some people who have no positions, right? They're just PNM members. And they may be very well fighting behind the scenes. Now, they're not getting anywhere, right? I mean, because even the people in Parliament afraid Rowley. That's why they don't act. They afraid him, right?
Yes.
But you're seeing it, you know, the caller who just said, you know, they're silent. Listen, because even in the PNM, they want Rowley gone. So it's like they don't know what to do again. They don't know what to do. But you said it. They're not going to come out right and get on just like how Rowley get on and have a whole campaign against Manning. Because they believe that, you know, maybe they could work quietly, they could try something or whatever, you know. And we can't fault them for trying something quietly or whatever. We can't fault them.
I hear
and that's all I'm saying, you know. I mean, I don't want to be brandished and stereotyped. So I would like to not
you
just
want to give
stereotype.
Them the benefit of the doubt.
Yes. You know, if I meet somebody and I think they're a good human being, I'm not going and say, well, all of them rotten just because they're PNM, you know?
No, one of my disputes is, I don't mind whichever UNC want to jump PNM. You understand? You want to go, right? But you don't have to stink up my leader. You don't have to do that.
Their job.
You understand?
Listen, everybody had to eat, you know. And if they're getting paid to stink up your leader, well, they had to eat.
Go ahead, but don't come and tell me that because you were rejected,
Yes.
right, by
Yeah.
internals and other places, that you're coming to sink up the lady and coming to talk about UNC Pelton Slime. When they were Pelton Slime with billboards and all kind of things,
Yeah.
and he remained behind the scenes, letting Devon and the rest of them do their dirty work. That was okay,
Yeah.
right? But as I told somebody, and they reminded me, oh, look at how Penny, she went up for the internals, and Penny, come now and get a job. Did you hear Penny? Right? Thinking up the leader anywhere?
No,
she
because
didn't.
PNM have discipline
she
like
kept
that.
quiet.
Mm-hmm.
She kept quiet and was later rewarded. But all you're not doing that and all this continuing to still do it. And Marsha, before I leave,
Well,
I
then,
want to tell
well, you have to
couple of
ask
people-
yourself, are they really UNC or are they paid
They
PNM
are
operatives?
opportunists. Because, Marsha, look at all the kind of things that are going on in the country. And not one day you hear Vassan Barrett coming out and saying, okay, well, let me stand up for this or let me stand up for
Yeah.
that. You needed a special invitation to come to campaign? What nonsense is that?
Yeah.
Right? You
It's-
can't tell
it's
me all,
certainly
you all
sad.
were rejected. How many people were rejected from the UNC but you're not hearing them? But no, there are certain groups that you have, they wanted to, their voices must be heard. And as I said, Marsha, before I leave, I want to... There are quite a few PNMites on your chat here tonight, right? With some of the nastiest things
Oh,
about
Lossie.
the UNC.
Oh,
You
Lossie.
understand? But I want to remind them...
I will try not to read everything.
Yeah, I want to remind them that UNC is not a racist party. UNC is all inclusion. And it was a UNC that started this race nonsense in this country.
Yeah.
Remember the Calcutta ship. Remember Rowley with the banana. And remember Eric Williams with the recalcitrant minority.
You know what
So
is
when all you want
funny
to
is that
point
nobody
fingers-
got on with the sari skit.
Yes.
PNM, PNM themselves put themselves in a gorilla suit, huh?
Yes.
PNM put themselves in a gorilla suit. And
Yes,
then,
and it was
and
sari
then,
skit.
yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy when you think about it. PNM put themselves in a gorilla suit.
Yes.
That's just to show you.
That's just to show you how they are. And not only that, Marsha, you are hearing one saying that if the UNC get back into office and they ain't help the poor and the homeless, who helped the poor and the homeless more than the UNC?
Exactly.
And when Rowley
Like they
came in,
forget his
Rowley took
UNC
away
bring minimum wage
everything.
legislation. They forget his UNC bring
Yes,
minimum wage
you remember when
legislation.
Glenn Ramadan Singh went down a cliff, went all over the place. He took it to the streets. He took the direct impact program to the streets. What did Rowley do? He cut every single thing. Look at today how many of our children cannot access a proper education. So when you see but you see the lies. I don't mind you want to come on the chat and say what you have to say, but don't come and lie. Marsha, have a good evening.
Well, I know you're handling them on the chat for me, right?
Yes.
I know you are. I don't even have to open my chat to see you handling them. This is a UNC soldier. Let me tell you. PNM have to do what they have to do. Detractors have to do what they have to do. Rejects have to do what they have to do. Everybody have their job. Everybody have their job. Somebody called me this week to tell me about who bad talk me on the radio and say whatever they say. Listen, everybody have their job. Leave people to do their job. Once we do our job better, it will be fine. Good night, you're live with Marsha Walker.
Good night, good night.
Good night.
Why are we wasting we time talking about PNM and you talking about a good PNM? I think leave that for
Yeah, that's what
some other
I was
things.
telling Koki. I
We
said, I
have so
find I
much
spent too
issues in
long
the
on that.
country. Listen
Yes.
to me, we have so much issues in the country to deal with, right? I don't like that road you all going down on.
I agree,
This
I
Friday night
agree.
This Friday night program spoiling this Douglar politics, you know.
Oh,
It's
my.
spoiling everything. Better we bring Victor on a Friday night.
I will pass it on.
You know the history of PNM? You need to go and sit down in the archives and get some old newspapers and things and watch from Williams days come right down, right? It's pressure for the people, right? From Williams come right down. Good? Was pressure for the people. You understand? If you read certain things, look at how people right now. My nephew just do modifying of vehicles in Canada, right? It have people who own PNM, ex-PNM people from Williams days own almost a whole street in Canada, and they just living. Some of them ain't working. You understand? Living on taxpayers' money from since O'Halloran days and before O'Halloran, right? That whole clip there with with Eric Williams. You understand? They're living on we taxpayers' money. So PNM was never a good thing for this country, right? It was never a good thing for Williams come right down. You understand? If you understand some accord,
you're breaking up, caller.
Williams came from the
Cookie, that's me. You
need to step up this program and stop wasting time and use budget, right?
You're breaking up, caller.
And them and this kind of thing. You let's discuss issues that affect the country. Bring Victor Roberts on a Friday night. You take a rest and go and do some research. Good night.
Oh, Lossie. Good night. You're live with Marsha Walker.
Good evening, Miss Walker. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's a comment that I want to make, and it's a critique, but take it in good spirits. There's no doubt whatsoever that you like politics. That's why you are where you are right now.
I don't like politics.
You don't like politics?
No.
Oh, you said you like it.
No, that's but I'm telling them I don't like politics.
Oh, okay.
I don't like injustice, and I don't like people that complain and don't get involved. So I get involved.
Oh, I thought this was a political platform. Sorry. Continue to enjoy your evening.
Yes.
So what's really going on?
People need to understand.
No, he cannot relate to you because you're saying something and then.
Well, so let's clear that up. It's not an issue of liking politics, and I said it several times tonight, right? I'm clearly not a politician, right? But if we want change in the country, we have to become part of the change. So that is what it is. I love my country, I love my fellow men, and I'm prepared to do what it takes. And if that means getting involved in politics, then that's what it means. And what we can do is change the face of politics so that this brandishing, everybody saying, well, you know, all politicians rotten, or all politicians are thief, or all politicians are liars, that's where we need to move away from. And so I am prepared to be the change that I want to see. Good evening, you're live with Marsha Walker. Good evening, you're live with Marsha Walker.
Hi, Marsha, how are you?
Hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you.
Well, you see, sometime I think it was the last night, Mr. Victor Roberts was there and he said, and he will come the next day. That was last night. But you see, we get accustomed with Mr. Victor Roberts, tell you the honest truth, you know. You have a good program, but I really told him, I said, you should have been here whole week. I told Mr. Victor about that, I think Wednesday night.
Okay.
Because he have a good program. He has a lot of things to say and a lot of things to do, you know, concerning with the UNC and everybody,
Yes,
you know.
he's a good man.
Yes, so maybe the talking, they don't like to hear too much talking on a Friday. Maybe they like to hear Victor Roberts right through. I told Mr. Victor Roberts that this week, I think Wednesday, I told him, I wish you were there whole week.
Right.
Because we have more people, you know, making the comments.
Right.
About what taking place. I hope you are feeling bad or anything, eh?
That's okay.
No, I'm just saying something here. That's why they're asking for Mr. Victor and whoever, you know what I mean? So we really need him to be there whole week because maybe they are accustomed here, you're talking right through the program. You know, maybe you have your thing to say, but they are accustomed with Mr. Victor Roberts, and I too, I would like to you.
Right.
I would like to you. We like to hear Mr. Victor Roberts because they have their opinion. When they call him, they tell him discuss whatever they want to discuss with the parties. You understand?
Right.
I think you should speak to Mr. Victor Roberts about that. I don't know. I don't want to say anything to get in trouble too.
Okay, no problem. We will. Good night. You are live with Marsha Walker.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
I want to appeal to that caller that talked a while ago and say because of the fact that they say all PNM is not the same, they are also good PNM, that they bring markers. So I find it fast. Fast and out of place because she say that because it's all over the world is like that. And every organization behind all is not the same. You never find it all is the same. Even though you find the majority in one way, you'll find others in another way. So don't talk foolishness about, because Victor Roberts can't come every night in every case. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, Lossie. Oh, Lossie.
So you see, although, you know, everybody have their opinion at the same time. So you see, it's good we talking about these different things because, you know, we have to, people have to speak out and people have to stand up.
Freedom of speech is our democratic
So you
right.
see, we're getting some different voices
Yes,
and
freedom of
opinions tonight.
speech.
Yes. Hello.
Good night, Marsha
night,
Walker.
good night,
Good night.
You see, Victor Roberts is a revolutionary. Victor Roberts is a revolutionary. That man has put on his foot.
All right.
All right.
Marsha Walker.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yes.
But you see, a true leader allows freedom of speech. So I know people would say, you know, cut them off and
No,
whatever. You know, a true leader allows freedom of speech. So that's okay. And even Jesus himself didn't have everybody like him, right? And you know what? I always say the more you're hated is probably because you're doing a good job. Because they ain't gonna come and attack nobody's.
Got to stand up and come out and see
All
what
right,
is
so
going on.
I'm going to end that part of the conversation.
Yep.
Right? Because I think we're talking about it too long.
Right.
We can agree to disagree because that's hypocrisy. And I don't go down the road of hypocrisy. As I keep saying, I'm clearly not a good politician because what I'm not going to do is explaining the Bail Act and UNC's way of dealing with crime.
Right.
Because PNM spews propaganda. So the first thing that comes out from the shooting yesterday is that these men were out on bail, and had we had the Bail Act, and had they been behind bars, they would not be able to do what they do. And it comes back down to, you cannot take away human rights from somebody to protect the human rights of somebody else. So the UNC supported the Bail Act, which allows the government 120 days to get their act together. So that if you think this person is a known criminal, they have 20 charges between each other, you must be able to bring evidence before a judge to say, right, this is our case, and this is why we believe that this person should be denied bail. If you cannot get that done, then that is your problem, that is your inefficiency. The TTPS has got to do their job. The state has got to do their job. They must resource the DPP. They must resource the TTPS. And Faris Al-Rawi has got to learn to win a case. It's that simple. So the state must go before the judge and say, listen, this is the evidence. And this is why we believe that the bail should be denied. That's all we're saying. So when they fool you and talk about the bail act and the bail act and the bail act, as the leader said today you will want 6 months. Tomorrow it will be 2 years. Then what? Then your solution for crime is to lock away everybody and throw away the key? That is not the way to solve crime. It's not the way. And then what happens, I mean, and this is where we don't get it. I mean, there are people, and I'm going to give you all.
The way to solve crime is to get rid of P&M.
Well, all right. But, you know, that's
because the way they do things,
yeah, it's rubbish.
They always have the,
absolute rubbish.
They contribute to
You're
crime.
Right. Good evening. You're live with Marsha Walker.
Hi, Miss Walker. Good night.
Good night.
You Corky.
Hello.
How you going?
I'm fine, thank you.
Right. In the kitchen, I hear somebody talking about Victor Roberts and all this thing.
Yes.
This is your program, not Victor own.
It's all right. It's okay.
But if somebody call and say Victor does sound good, nothing wrong with that. We have to take that into consideration and then see what we could do to better ourselves. So it's nice for people to say that.
I know it is boy Corky.
It's nice for them to say those things because you know what I'm saying. But I wouldn't say that Marsha is not good at what she do. She just expresses herself in a different way.
Talk too long and all that.
Right, and you see different people coming out and talking. So that's good.
Let the caller talk. Let the caller
yes,
talk.
go ahead, talk.
So I think you was just talking about the bill.
Yes.
Now the commissioner, the acting commissioner, jumping and hiding behind that. Gary used to talk about the bill too, but he had crime under control.
Yeah.
However you take it, from the time Gary come on the scene, criminals get quiet.
Yeah.
So the commissioner only hiding behind that bill and to say, well, criminals are outside and get... That's naive for you to study.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to study how to get the job done like how Gary was getting it done. Mm-hmm. Right? So he's hiding behind that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. There are special men in the world and special women too. Now look, a lot of people in this country back talk Donald Trump, this and that. Mm-hmm. I hear lawyers say Trump is a madman. But you see when you have foresight and imagination, not everybody has that. Donald Trump pulled America out of the Paris Accord and this NATO thing because he knows that fellas is fake. Look what's going on now on the living crime here to suffer and everybody, nobody, people on their own. Trump knew that. Gary Griffith is a special man. Almost like Trump. From the time he come on the scene, criminals get quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Trump had the whole world quiet. I remember calling on a program and telling somebody, you see with Biden coming, the whole world will start back the same thing again. Same thing to start back. Chinese man shooting up rocket, look what Putin doing.
Yeah.
Gary gone, crime on the road. Everybody going back to the same thing.
Yeah.
And only way this crime thing will stop. Gary have to get back that job. I don't know how he will get back. But if people have to call for Gary, this man, other man with him, take up, he can't do this job. Heinz is a waste of time. And only excuse.
Yeah.
So people, they like to talk. Gary used to complain to a catch them, only let them go on bail, but crime was down, not so?
Yes,
Right.
crime was down.
Right down. So you just want to run but they go this one on bail. We want to hear that. You want to hear what you're doing. To keep crime down. Crime, oh God, crime on us like a runaway horse now.
Yeah.
Right? And we can't get on nothing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's my little contribution for tonight. I mean, I hear talking about Albert Gomes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to leave that for next time because I knew Albert Gomes as a little boy, you know.
Really?
He used to work in my cousin's office.
Okay. That is very cool.
Yeah, and in Rice Road. My cousin was the secretary for the DLP at the time.
Okay.
So, yeah, a guy by the name of Frank Brassington.
Mm-hmm.
And Albert Gomes used to work in the office. My father used to work there too. And after school, when I used to help Mr. Gomes help empty waste paper basket. When he typing up things, so when he didn't like it and the basket full up, he said, yeah, no problem. Empty it, maybe you're a nice fellow, you know. Real nice guy, so people might say all kind of things because they don't know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, I've realized that a lot of people don't even know who he is. You know, and I mean, those are the kinds of things that we seek to correct. That's where we have to keep the conversation. We have to keep it in everybody's minds so that every night we must talk about Albert Gomes a little bit. You know, I want to talk about Dr. Daphne Phillips a little bit. Good night. You're live with Marshall Walker.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, this man could say Donald Trump was a good man. In last year before September, Donald Trump, before he handed over power, bombed Somalia and killed 350 women and children. I haven't heard that the world say anything about that. And it's the same people that went in and killed Gaddafi in Libya when he tried to make $1 to raise the standard of living, that they went and take him out. You know, Turkey have a base inside of Libya right now and don't want, because of the people's diamond and gold. How Donald Trump and them come inside of that? And who do that? Obama. Obama went in with special force and take out Gaddafi from lifting the standard of living of the people. The base that America have inside Tariq, that have Ethiopia fighting, they have the headquarters inside of America. Why you trying to destroy Africa?
So you see, everybody have somebody they like. Everybody have an opinion. Good night. You're live with Marshall Walker.
Good night, Martian. Cookie again. But listen, when people have power and they see they have authority and they feel magnified, they just want to let it go. And all of them who are complaining and they want a second term and this, no. If you get 5 years and you did well, the country and the people appreciate that. You don't try to force yourself and deny other people of having the opportunity or whatever they want. They're dead in office and giving other people the opportunity distracted by greed, power. How much could we lead? Let's tell them, please, you get an opportunity to lead and represent and do what duties can. We highly appreciate, whether good, bad, or indifferent, we highly appreciate your contribution. And we love you for that. We'll always remember you for that. But don't deny other people to represent. Thank you. Good night.
No, good night. No. Oops, what is that? Press, okay. Oh, did I? Oh my, sorry. I think I hung somebody up just now. Oh, call back 218-7762. Now, let me tell you, I don't believe in giving nobody an opportunity. While, so we're talking different in terms of being fair, etc. But you see this thing about step down and give somebody and whatnot? I don't think that the country is served well when anybody in power says, well, I'm going to step down and give somebody else the power. I think that that's why we have things like elections, we have internal elections, we have somebody must become good enough to beat her in her internal elections. If she was not going up for internal elections, then you could say, okay, maybe that's why she's holding on to power, but it's not like when the 3 years due, she gone up for elections. But nobody give Kamala. They say, hey, look, Kamala, have the leadership. That's not how it works, right? We as a people, and I remember that when I was younger, they say, well, we must give people a chance to be sports captain or give people a chance to be prefect. And I said, but nobody's going to give you anything in this life. And that does not mean that you go and you take it by illegal means or take what is not rightfully yours. But you must fight for it. You must become good enough to deserve it. Right? You shouldn't just be given because what you think you have a right to just be given. No. So I don't agree to this whole, well, step down unless somebody else take it now. No. Become good enough. Become good enough and earn it. Become good enough and earn it. That's the way that I look at it. Right? Good night. You're live with Marshall Walker.
Good night. And that criminal Rowley is stepping down to give nobody no 5 years. Eh? That criminal want to use the position to keep black people enslaved. That neo-colonialist want to keep black people as a foot cloth. That criminal Rowley, he and the banner cahoots. But if they feel they're going to run the constitution and keep the community a cascade under the cloth, we would wipe them out. Thank you.
That is some fire. So we need, listen, I keep telling all you, they must go on Rowley Facebook page and Farris Facebook page and we must say call elections now. We must use the power that we have. We have to go and say call elections now, call elections now, call elections now. That's what we must do. We must become agitators. You look at other countries, other democracies, other, developed countries. And the people don't sit back, They get involved and they fight. They get involved and they fight. I say I had a fine Rowley cell number and give it to everybody on air. Somebody actually did send it to me, Right? Because we have to. We have to go and harass and harass and harass and harass.
But would they call election if you do that?
So how Rowley get Manning
Look,
to Rowley get Manning to call elections early?
People dying, right?
But they don't care about
so
that.
much thing going on. And
they don't care about that.
And they're not stepping down. They will move out. So if you're going to say call election, you think they'll move out?
If 100,000 people, you think they wouldn't listen? You think if 100,000 people came out in their numbers, and that is what PNM is good at. They make you feel as though, well, they ain't gonna listen anyway, so what's the point? Then shout louder, then fight.
Poor people, they wouldn't do that. People don't even know nothing about election. They're not educated about nothing. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't stand up and do that.
Well,
the ones who's supposed to stand up to help them do that is the one who's supposed to help them and support them and stand up for them. Like somebody like Mr. Victor, how he goes in to the beat-em and give them something and do something. We need more of that. And when you see people helping you more in these ways, you will stand, because the PNM have the thing set in a certain way all the time. They have it set so it keep going on like that. Year after year. 5 years you had to wait 2 years for election again.
We have a call. Good night, you are live.
Yes, Marcia, me again here. Victor Roberts come and went through the crevice and cracks a cascade. I carry him all sentence to show him where the flooding is. This mister in the ministry where Wasa is concerned, tell the people of the Bitam that the cylinders to finish the work would be there on the 7th and the work would be finished on the 7th. Up to now, not one thing has been done to the people of the Bitam. still living in the dung, in that tutu. In the tutu, cholera is a disease that if it break out in Trinidad, they have nothing in the country. Because if one man in the Bitam get cholera and come in tongue, you know what I mean? Cholera is a thing that they have to quarantine people. You can't let them leave a village to go to the next village. And if that happens in Bitam, you know what happened to Port of Spain? And this minister know that and leave people to live in that stinking nest. That why here, man, Mr. Hines, you what, man, I Rasta too, you know. I Rasta 50 years now. You hear? And you're a dirty man to treat Bitam people in that manner. Thank you.
We hung up the phone because what I would
No,
like...
no, he left. He said thank you. So
Right, well, yeah, so he hung up the phone, yeah. So what I want to find out, though, because I would like to understand, why would you go back and vote for Hines after? That's what I would like to understand. So I would want to understand the thing. MP a chance. Well, I don't know. But it's a plus years in Diego Martin West. Right? Now you did the Color Me Orange project. So, for instance, you have, and I was going to give a story, but well, I'll go back to it. I'm going to write it on before, because I need to talk about.
But you remember when they were giving hampers out in South, and then the police step in and say they cannot do that because of gathering and so on. Why they didn't find a way to make these people get these hampers in a nice way and control that and let it get them? They stop the thing because they don't want anybody else other than they to give out hampers and to do things like such as what Mr. Victor doing.
There's evil. Good evening. You're live on.
Yeah. Just one more thing. Is race discrimination and party help us survive and live a long life? Thank you.
Yes, right. The thing is, we need to get past all of this. These are stopgap measures, right? And we need to start to address truth. These things will not help Trinidad and Tobago. We have had NGOs handing out hampers for the last 60 years.
So if we
when you go into poor countries, Corky, they have the most NGOs and they hand out the most hampers. That is a sign of you being a failed country. You're handing out hampers. That is a sign of a failed country. Social services.
A failed government.
Well, if we don't get rid of a failed government.
These people just feel so happy when Mr. Victor going to beat them and give them a hamper because they're hungry.
I understand that.
Right.
I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely do, because that is something that we have to step up and help. But we also have to get past that. right? We have to get past that. Otherwise, we will be here in 10 years, 20 years, still handing out hampers. Because that is the only level that we will get to. What we need to do is emancipate ourselves from mental slavery.
How do we do that?
Well, through education. Through something more than, so when you come and you say, okay, I am, and this is where we must understand education. This is where we must be willing to hear all the facts, right? Because whether we like it or not, you could build, and you people who have campaigned before, you could build an entire city in some areas, and they will continue to vote for PNM.
How you think everybody just get the facts every day?
Well, but that is what I'm saying. We have to continue to give truth. But we have to go past that. We have to go past that. We have to fix the education system. We have to fix the injustice in the society. So hampers are great. NGOs are great. But we have to go past that. We have to dig deeper than that. Oops, we lost that one. Right? So when people talk about crime, crime, to fix it, we need to talk about victimization, right? We need to talk about the injustice in society. This is, I was going to talk, I can't remember what we were talking about when, I was going to give a story, but I can't remember the story. But, I mean, obviously today, what we're talking about is crime. Okay, person's calling back. Good night, you're live with Marsha Walker.
Yes, Marcia. You say about education, changing the curriculum, you see the school curriculum?
Absolute garbage, if you ask me.
That what mashing up.
Yes.
Because history is a thing that's supposed to be taught in school.
Well, they do teach it in school, but they teach PNM history.
Tell me which school you know doing history as a subject right now. I asked a youth that did GC, that did the exam, and I asked him, I say, you do history? He said, no, they don't do history in school again. I said, how you mean they don't do history in school again? So you see what happened? The African...
Hello?
Against the African man, and he don't know that they're talking against him. Because he don't have a language. He doesn't have a language in the schoolhouse. Give me back my language and my culture. That is part of education. Change the system and give me back my language.
Right?
Yeah, so these are the things that we have to go past, and we have to start to discuss. We have to understand, one, the education system is not suited for everybody. There are peoples, all right, that's what I was talking about. So UNC introduced a program. You have people who are great with their hands. They're good plumbers, they're good electricians, etc., right? But they may not have the certification because the exams or whatnot is not their strength, right? UNC came in and said, all right, what we could do, we'll assess where you're at, your skill level. And you can do an exam through skill levels. So we can see that you're a great hairdresser, or you're a great plumber, or you're a great electrician, and we can give you certification. So now you're a certified electrician, right? Because some people have been in a trade for 20 years and you can't be better than them, but they don't have a certification. So these are some of the things that UNC would have implemented so that you're taking somebody past this government handout to now help them become self-sufficient. When you talk about cleaning out the police service, that is a big part of crime. I will give you, it might be a true story or it may not be. I'm not going to tell you all, right? Because, depending on who's listening, I could reach before the court. So these are all allegations and made up stuff, maybe, right?
Yes.
Imagine you have a counselor in the area and she happens to be with a police officer in the area who is known to not be the best at being honest and above board. You have young men in the area now who work with another person for elections. All of a sudden, those young men getting tortured and thrown into police vehicle. These are real things that happen, right? So when people talk about, because it gets me mad when I see a lot of people saying, but them is the same fellas who ain't go come and vote and whatever. But a lot of them have to go and live in these same areas. So it's a holistic approach that has to happen. And if we do not start to address all of these things, as I say, we're going to be giving out hampers for the next 60 years.
But I want to ask a question. Where does crime start from?
It starts from the home.
Home.
Of course, it starts from the home. It starts from the home, Corky. It starts from
Never.
lack of male presence.
I don't
but
agree with
Corky,
that.
but you don't have to agree. That's why we have science.
Crime won't start from the home.
But Corky, that's why we have science.
That's not the first place crime will start
So
from.
where it starts from?
You tell me.
Well, I'm telling you what the research and the science says. It's either we want the truth or we want our opinion. When we have a male presence is lacking in the home, when you have social injustice, all these things add up to crime. Good afternoon, you're live with Marsha Walker.
Good afternoon. As a little boy growing up, when I learned about Francis Privat and John O'Halloran and Desmond Carty and them commit crime.
They did.
So
Well, allegedly. Let me not say that on.
You see
Let me
where
not
the
say.
crime
It
start?
cannot start in the home with me because I was a little boy growing up and learn about them thieving.
That's where
So
it starts
start
from.
with me. It starts with them.
That's
Thank you.
right. You're welcome. That's
Okay, right. Okay, so I could understand that it starts with the government, with the politics,
Yes.
right? Okay. Fair point.
Yes.
Fair point, right? But where the politicians come from? Not the home? Somebody didn't raise them?
No.
But so they born big and corrupt?
Start right on top.
But did the politicians born
People
big
who
and
coming out now with guns and shooting people is because it start from there and it ending down here.
Well, maybe what we should have done was
Have a
raise.
top and a
But if
below.
we had raised Rowley better, he mightn't have been that way. Good afternoon. Good evening. You're live with Marsha Walker.
Just for bugging, I hear what Cookie saying that a way crime starts. Sometimes it do start from the home when parents lost lack and interest in survival thing. But when sometimes they might grow up the child in the right, a positive way. But when the child grow up, maybe due to somebody's schools or they have friends that influence them and distract them, and they get involved in crime. It amazes the family and the parents and many people. And sometimes they lose their life in the process. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Good
Still
night.
starts on the top.
But Corky,
Yes.
Rowley didn't come from a house hour.
Yes, but it starts from the top, from the leaders, from the government, from these people who in charge.
So who in charge?
It starts from the
Who
top.
in charge?
Hmm?
Who in charge?
Whoever leading the country in charge.
And how
Yeah,
how they became government? How they became 60-year-olds?
They set the rules and the plan to stay in power.
Good evening,
Great
you're,
is the PNM.
good evening. You're live with Marsha Walker.
Beverly Jones and Jennifer.
All right. Cut
We lost
off.
him? Oh,
Yeah. His phone cut off. somehow or
okay.
the other.
All right. Well, I want to hear about Beverly Jones. I wanted to talk about Dr. Daphne Phillips, right? Because we spoke about Albert Gomes as well. So, right? We want to keep, because these are the people's names that we must talk about. We must give credit to our heroes, right? Because the
Yes.
PNM like to talk about Eric Williams. But they forget that women like Dr. Daphne Phillips and Kamala Persad-Bissessar, right? They forget the kind of work that these women would have done in terms of things like the cohabitation laws. Before PNM, common law wasn't acknowledged. After you live with a man for 10 years and make 10 children, nobody acknowledging you, right? These are the kinds of things. Now, of course, I know that some religious people will disagree about common law and whatever, and that's totally different from the topic, right? But these are the kinds of progressive conversations and thought processes, etc., where they were able to give women that security, that financial stability, etc., you know, when you're talking about that kind of common law relationship. So this is what I mean by going deeper. And so, yes, you're right in terms of this is where leadership can help. So that's why I was talking about that Color Me Orange program. Because understanding that crime, so you talk about education, when a young man does not have access to proper education in a way, and so today you saw Anita Hayes brought a motion before the parliament with regards to education, because these are the things that must be addressed. A resident from Covine, which is in Digo Martin West, she said that because of the online schooling, gangs are now licking up them young boys. Because as school is not accessible, and I know it's easy for people to pass blame, because people will say, well, look, I didn't have an education, but I didn't turn to crime, or I didn't have this, and I didn't turn to crime. And as I said, I'm not making excuses. But as I was just showing you all with the example, look at that young man who was victimized by a police officer, allegedly, because the police officer allegedly has a relationship with a counselor in the area. Allegedly. So maybe she sent her boyfriend because what they're doing supporting a UNC candidate. No matter what. Gosh. So when election they come, and you're told plain out, let me see all you go and vote. Is me and all you after. These things are real. So it's easy for us to say things like, well, but they ain't voting, right?
Yes.
Right? So you have think, well, my father's a real stupidity because clearly crime paying better. So when people say I had to get up and get, but my father getting up and get all his life and mean saying nothing. So this is where we must create a space where law-abiding citizens have an opportunity to wealth creation. And the corruption and the mismanagement has to stop, obviously. But I genuinely think that PNM does not have the vision. I don't think they have the brain capacity that UNC has. Which is why you would see every time that the UNC comes into power, the types of legislation and the types of programs that they bring into power is more than just gimme. Just more than a handout. Because as I say, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar believes in more than a handout, you must hand up. So you must raise the standard of citizens to the point where it's not, you're not constantly in need and it's not like a carrot on a stick. You have to help them really improve themselves, etc.
But how is it the PNM always comes back inside?
I'll tell you, you're live with Marsha Walker.
Good night.
Good night.
Good evening.
Yeah, Corky?
Yes, sir.
Yes, man, this is Silver Fox here.
Yes, Fox. What's up?
Yes, man, I just sit down there taking in some draft game and I hear we're only talking about crime, right?
Yes.
Now, it has difference in crime.
Yes.
Now, Rowley is a political criminal.
Yes.
Right? And our next guy gonna be a fellow who will pick up the gun. Rowley will pick up the gun,
right.
but he's squeezing you politically and taking what he wants. So it's two different kind of criminals.
Agreed. I agree.
Right? Look, my father, mother, and father died when he was 12.
Okay.
And he turned out to be a big policeman in Trinidad working on the boroughs. Right? And he didn't stray.
Yes.
So is the company you keep to will encourage you to do something. You just do a little thing and then do a bigger thing and then do the big thing. Because you're following company, a company they tell you you're coward, but you're not coward, but you're just stupid to the group. Right? And that's how that's how criminals will exist. Because one come from a kind of home and the next one come from a good home, but he followed the next one. That they come from the good home.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why but it's different kind of criminals you have outside here.
Right.
But a criminal is a criminal because if he catch if you make him out, he will kill you.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
Because big sin, little sin, all sin.
Yeah.
Right? So I just listen all the way the topic and I like the topic, you know, so
Yeah.
right? And normally Victor is my boy, you know, so I will come in strong, but not with this, I just, casual.
Yes.
All right, well,
All right,
pleasant night to all of you.
I'm still looking to see you down here in Trinidad, man.
Yeah, the fox, I tell you, the fox come in.
Right.
The fox, when I born, my mom saying hospital, the fox is coming, you know. All right. So the fox is coming. Don't afraid for that.
All right.
Yeah, Corky boy. Take care, about.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, good night. 218-7762. We'll take just a few calls because we're coming to 9 o'clock now.
Yeah,
right?
15 minutes time.
Yes. Okay, so we're talking about crime. I want to make sure that keeping front and center, we remind everybody about things that, the PNM like to pretend, not pretend,
Yeah.
but they depend on us having a short-term memory.
Yes. But
So-
how does one become a criminal?
Well, they have several ways.
How?
Well,
Maybe 3 ways.
I've been speaking about it, but we'll discuss that. I thought we've been discussing it for the whole show.
Yeah.
So before we leave, though, I want to make sure that I cover some things.
Yes.
Right? Because we just forget, and there's so much going on with the PNM.
Yes.
Okay, there's a call. Let me take this last call. Okay. Right. So I know everybody forget about this Adrian Schoon issue because last week they announced that he will be charged.
Yes.
I would like to do my part to keep in the media, and we must do our part. So all they could just, when somebody says something about UNC, just remind them, did we find out about the station diary yet? Because there's a station diary, Carenage Station Diary, said to us that Faris Al-Rawi, the Attorney General, spoke to Schoon while he was in the station. We are waiting to find out what was the contents of Adrian Schoon's telephone. They had his cell phone. Were they able to ascertain, were they able to confirm that what the station diary said was in fact correct? They must know the times that Adrian Schoon made phone calls to Faris Al-Rawi. And we would like to know. The country needs to be reminded, and we must continue to ask Jacob, can you tell us, did our Attorney General make such a phone call? Because if the Attorney General made such a phone call, then we have problems. That definitely is interference, right? So I want to remind our UNC supporters that we must continue to keep that in the public domain. So every day, all I could wake up, and on Monday, here's what we posting. So anybody find out and confirm if the station diary with Faris was correct or not? Yeah? Somebody needs to remember, to remind the country, There are people who do such good jobs at that on Facebook. It's a real laugh. They wake up in the morning and they say, don't forget the NGC scandal, eh? Right? Don't forget Inez Gate. Don't forget Alan Warner. Say, Jacob, we are waiting on you to let us know. Is there an investigation against Alan Warner going on? So we must remember to ask these questions constantly. Keep it in the public's domain. The next one that PNM talking about and lying and all kind of stupidness and spinning the truth now is with WASA. Because you know they're setting up WASA to do the same thing they're doing with Petrotrin. They did with Petrotrin. They want to come out and say, well, WASA so unprofitable and WASA this and WASA that. And of course, they're trying to blame Kamla. And I see they went all the way back and blame Pandey for WASA and Disalcott and oh, how much millions and whatever. Well, the political leader did an amazing breakdown of Disalcott. So let's just remind the population, because what we need to do, as I keep saying, you want to get rid of PNM, the way is to make sure that we are armed with the truth. And we have to keep saying it, keep saying it. When UNC came into power under Pandey, it was like 32% of the population had water. I mean, I think we're going right back there under Rowley again. But what they had realized was that most of our water was going to the Point Lisas estate, so that's commercial use. So they created a world-class facility, and that facility now would supply the Point Lisas estate. And Point Lisas would now, Petrotrin would now pay the Salcott for water under a commercial rate, and they will also pay WASA. So now you're finding that WASA is actually benefiting from this arrangement. It also means now that instead of taking water and pumping it into Point Lisas, you can now take the water and put it for domestic consumption. So of course now more homes can get the water. You're not using up all the water in Point Lisas. Makes sense?
Right.
When Manning come into power now, Manning decide he going and take the Salcott water to put it on the domestic grid, you know, to give it to private use to the citizens. But he gonna use it now for citizens, but now WASA had to pay a commercial rate. That ain't making sense. So obviously WASA will now stop making money. Rowley has forgotten that he was a minister under Manning, and he said nothing about it. And Manning is the one that came up with one rubbish contract and rubbish deal. When Kamla came in, the deal was already there. She had to find a way to save the country money, to fix the deal, and so she did. Right? So when Rowley talk about Kamla, stick them in a Disalcott contract, and that is what make WASA unprofitable. WASA was unprofitable because of Manning. And Manning had a contract where the cost now would be an escalating cost. So every how much ever months, the cost would be able to go up. When the UNC under Kamla came in, what they did was they regularized the contract. They stabilized it so that they said, listen, it will be a fixed rate. So in 10 years' time, you can't come and raise it and whatever, and it all over the place every month, it going up and whatnot. So yes, under Kamla is a bad contract, you know, but she improved on a worse contract. So they are twisting the truth. So they come and say, well, look at that rubbish contract Kamla come up with. But what they're not telling you is that Kamla fixed a contract that was absolutely rubbish under Manning. And had Manning not changed the contract, we would have had water for all, and WASA would have been profitable by now. Because that was why UNC was able to say waterfall, waterfall, waterfall. Because they were able to understand what was going on, and they were able to deliver it in a manner that would have kept WASA profitable. Under Kamla, you know we went up to 74% water distribution for citizens, right? But no. Rowley come to twist the facts, come to lie and say what's unprofitable and what's unprofitable because of Kamla. The facts are there. You guys could go and verify it. So you don't need to take Kamla word for it and you don't need to take Rowley word for it. Go and verify all the public documents and see for yourself what is going on. Do not allow Rowley to come and twist the facts. And as I said, well, you want to talk about crime and the root of crime? How many people will be laid off? All they need to make sure this man call elections before, he like to say, in case he was closing the fridge and not closing Petrotrin. They can't believe anything he says because he closed down Petrotrin. And what he's doing is he's setting up. Right? You come in the same rhetoric. They're not making money. So that what, you could close it down? Because friends and family and finances need to take it over? We have a call. Good night. You're alive. Marsha Walker.
Just one more thing. Marsha and Cookie, is sometimes when people are evil and they're wicked and they see for doing, what to do? They don't blame themselves, They blame other people. So what we going to do? We have to hold on to the blame and try and get it right. Thank you.
Yes. Well, listen, and Kamla speak, I think, what day it was she spoke, boy? I can't remember what day it was. Maybe last week, Monday or something. And she was giving the facts about the Salcott and thing. And I liked her. Let me tell you, I find she's come with some real fire. When she say it, you get these clips, and she's real. She have a real kind of mommy buff. She's buff Rowley. And she tell him, she said, listen, when I came in, and it was this and it was that, I didn't sit down and say blame. I put my head down and I get to work. I found it was so funny because he's right. Stop the blame Kamla. It's like 7 years now. Oh gosh, get down to work. Fix it, just fix it. Good night, you're live with Marsha Walker.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Marsha.
Yes?
I made pants is better than a ready-made pants,
Yes?
Yeah, because Kamla make Kamla pants is a tailor-made pants, but Rowley pants is a ready-made. Kamla pants is a tailor-made, but Rowley pants is a ready-made. A tailor-made pants, you have to put in zip, you have to put in what do you call it? Everything on a tailor-made pants, right? To make a tailor pants and a ready-made pants too. A tailor-made pants is always better than a ready-made pants.
Yes.
You check it out?
Yes, I check it out.
So, yeah. So the P&M, they buy a ready-made pants. They get everything ready. You see, they are doing nothing. They have built a school, they have built a Sunday school, they have built a health center, not a police station, or nothing at all. Or they built a swimming pool all up in the mountain and all kinds of children to go up in the mountain for people to kill them. All right, Marsha?
Yes. Well, I mean, they're the thief, right? I was driving past Bagatelle Stadium, and I just looking at the millions and millions that they spend on that. And not a youth could use it. And I am thinking to myself, if these people had just used that money, you know how much playground they could have put up? You know how much basketball court they could have put up? You know how much football field they could have put up? You know how much, boy? It ain't taking no kind of money to put up little basketball court all over the community. It ain't taking no kind of money. They want to come and put up all these world-class facilities that nobody could use. So in the end, they're really ineffective, right? They're ineffective. I see, by the youth club, the police youth club, as they're driving past Diego Martin, all hours of the night. And it's nothing big, It's not fancy anything. It's just they put one little hoop, one little basketball ring in the yard. And those fellas have young people there all the time playing. Every hour of the night.
In their yard.
In the police youth club, yes. So it's not even, I mean, it's a small space, Corky. But you put a little basketball ring and you open it up, and all hours of the night you're seeing young people there shooting, playing basketball and stuff. And these are the things. But no, you want to spend a set of money, millions of dollars on a facility that lock up, looking like a jail. The young people can't go in and access it freely.
Crime.
But it's the white collar crime. Because somebody say, well, if we go and spend our $10,000 and pave this little piece of park and put up a little basketball ring, how we got thief when it's at $10,000? So you had to put a $10 million project so that somebody's pocket could get full.
Crime.
Well, right. So that's why I tell people.
So where does it start from?
Oh, well, all right, government, don't mind, but I still blame Rowley family, because it's them raised him to be like that. Right? So when we angry about the crime and stuff, don't be calling the young men and them pests and cockroach, right? Because as you say, where it start, take your anger and put it towards the politicians who instead of building $1 million facilities that the young boys cannot use.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, so it have no work for it to do right now. Everything closed down, shut down. Crime.
Right, exactly.
It's 9 o'clock.
120,000 jobs lost. Say it again. 120,000 jobs lost. Right. They have no laptops. The children can't go to school. What it is?
They're going to thief.
Right.
Shoot and
You're supposed
rob.
to say crime. I thought crime was going with the song.
That's where it started from.
Right?
Right.
Instead of giving laptops, they went and built a set of pods, and nobody using them carnival pods. $30 million. Nobody using the pods. You know how much laptop they could have built for $30 million? And not build, but give. So that's the problem. That's the problem, as Corky say.
Yes.
Right? It's 9 o'clock. I'll see y'all on Friday. I'll see if I can get Victor Roberts to come on Friday.
Don't worry.
It's Fire Fridays with Marshall Walker. See you guys.
You did well today. Don't worry. We're gone.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle.